The mahogany dining table gleamed under crystal chandeliers, a remnant of my parents' need to display their upper-middle-class success. Steam rose from the meticulously arranged Thanksgiving spread, each dish placed with the same precision I used in my mathematical formulas. A high school teacher. With your mind for finance. Mom's voice dripped with familiar disappointment as she adjusted her pearl necklace, her favorite prop for emphasizing important points. Wasting your Stanford MBA to teach algebra to teenagers? Dad didn't even look up from his Wall Street journal, his reading glasses perched on his nose like a judge preparing to deliver a verdict. Could have been managing billions at Goldman by now. Like your brother James. I smiled quietly, cutting into my turkey. The meat was slightly overdone. Mom's cooking had always been more about presentation than substance. After 15 years, their disappointment had become almost comforting in its predictability. Like the steady compound interest calculations I taught my students. The autumn sun cast long shadows through the bay windows, highlighting the family photos on the wall. Photos that traced our prescribed paths. James in his Morgan Stanley office, Lisa at her law firm partnership ceremony, me, while my graduation photos stopped at Stanford Business School. Speaking of billions, James smirked from across the table, adjusting his Rolex, a gesture he'd practiced until it looked casual. Just closed another merger. $2.5 billion. The partners are talking about making me youngest managing director in firm history. Now that's putting your education to good use. Mom beamed, reaching over to pat his hand. Not like. She glanced at me with that practiced mix of pity and frustration that she'd perfected over the years. I took another bite, letting the familiar scene play out. They had no idea about the algorithm I'd developed during those late nights grading papers. How I'd noticed patterns in my students' learning that mirrored patterns in market behavior. Or how I'd parlayed my deep understanding of mathematical sequences into a trading system that made my brother's billions look like pocket change. My smartphone buzzed quietly, another alert from my quantum-encrypted trading platform. Another billion added to my hidden fortune. I silenced it without looking. Some patterns were better left private. Did you hear about the anonymous donation to Stanford? My sister Lisa chimed in, her legal training evident in how she presented each word with deliberate precision. $2 billion for their new quantum computing research center. Biggest private donation in university history. Probably some tech billionaire. James waved dismissively, his Swiss watch catching the light. Those Silicon Valley types love throwing money around to feel important. Not like real finance people who understand value. I suppressed a smile, remembering the quantum algorithms running on my secure servers, processing patterns across global markets that traditional traders couldn't even imagine. My students understood these patterns better than most Wall Street analysts. They just didn't know it yet. Actually, I said, dabbing my mouth with a napkin, they're announcing the donor's identity tonight at the dedication ceremony. Should be starting soon. How would you know about that? Mom scoffed, her voice hitting that particular note of condescension she reserved for my career choices. It's an exclusive event. University president, board of trustees, major donors only. Not exactly teacher circles, dear. The golden light from the setting sun filled the room as I stood up, casting my shadow long across the expensive Persian rug. Because I was invited, I said simply. And I should get going. Don't want to be late for my own ceremony. The silence that followed was exquisite. 5 slack-jawed faces stared up at me, frozen in various stages of disbelief. The only sound was the gentle tick of the grandfather clock, keeping perfect time just like my algorithms. What are you talking about? Dad finally managed, his Wall Street journal dropping to reveal his full attention for the first time in years. I pulled an embossed invitation from my jacket, cream-colored cardstock with gold lettering, the kind of understated elegance that real wealth preferred. The Philip Chin Quantum Computing Research Center. I read aloud. Has a nice ring to it, don't you think? But, you're a teacher, James sputtered, his carefully cultivated executive composure cracking. On a teacher's salary. I'm a teacher who understands patterns, I corrected him, enjoying how the words landed like puzzle pieces falling into place. Mathematical patterns, market patterns, human patterns. And I developed an algorithm that sees patterns even quantum computers can't match. Yet. $2 billion? Mom whispered, her hand clutching her pearls as if for support. That's just the donation, I smiled, straightening my modest tie. My net worth is considerably more. Teaching isn't my only passion. It's just the most important one. I headed for the door, then turned back to survey the scene. The expensive dining room, the status symbols, the family that had measured success in such limited ways. You're all welcome to attend, of course. The ceremony starts in an hour. I'm sure they'll make room for the donor's family. Dad finally stood, his financial paper forgotten. All this time I've been exactly what I claimed to be, a teacher who loves helping young minds understand mathematics, I said. The fact that I also happen to be one of the wealthiest private investors in the world is, let's call it a bonus lesson in not judging books by their covers. But why keep teaching? Lisa asked, her lawyer's mind already calculating the implications. With that kind of money. Because money is just numbers, I replied, thinking of my students' faces when they grasped a difficult concept, when they saw the beauty in mathematical patterns that I'd seen all along. But watching a student's eyes light up when they finally understand a complex equation? That's priceless. Now shall we head to Stanford? I believe I have a speech to give about the future of quantum computing. And perhaps a few other patterns worth sharing. The sun had set completely now, casting the room in shadow. But for the first time in years my family was seeing me in a whole new light. Word count, 1,024 words. The drive to Stanford was charged with attention thick enough to graph. My family squeezed into their luxury vehicles, James in his Porsche, my parents in their Mercedes, Lisa in her BMW, while I drove my modest Honda Civic Hybrid. The same car I'd driven to school every day for the past decade. Still can't believe you drive that, James muttered as we parked in the VIP section, his Porsche growling to silence beside my practical hybrid. Patterns, brother, I smiled. Everything reveals patterns, including what people choose to display versus conceal. The Stanford campus glowed in the evening light, the new quantum computing center rising like a modernist crystal cathedral against the darkening sky. Its architecture followed the Fibonacci sequence, another pattern most would miss, but my students would have spotted immediately. Security was tight. Quantum encryption specialists, armed guards and dark-suited figures with earpieces dotted the perimeter. My family's expressions shifted from skepticism to awe as we approached the main entrance. Mr. Chin, the university president, Dr. Eleanor Martinez, rushed forward to greet us. We're so honored. And your family. Welcome, welcome. Please come this way. The grand hall was filled with Silicon Valley elite, Nobel laureates and global tech leaders. Conversations about quantum entanglement and algorithmic breakthroughs floated through the air like complex equations. Is that Elon Musk talking to your son? Mom whispered, clutching Dad's arm. Philip. Elon waved me over. Been dying to discuss that paper you published on quantum-enhanced market prediction models. Revolutionary stuff. I caught my brother's stunned expression as I walked over. James had spent years trying to get meetings with tech billionaires. Now they were coming to me. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Martinez's voice rang out across the hall. Welcome to a historic evening. Tonight, we unveil not just the world's most advanced quantum computing research facility, but also reveal the extraordinary individual behind it. The crowd hushed. My family huddled together, still processing their new reality. For years, the financial world has whispered about a mysterious trader. Someone who seemed to predict market movements with impossible accuracy. Who used those insights not for personal gain alone, but to stabilize global markets and prevent financial crashes. I felt James stiffen beside me. His firm had lost millions trying to trace my trading patterns. Meanwhile, in a local high school classroom, an extraordinary teacher was revolutionizing how we understand mathematical education. His students consistently achieved the highest advanced placement scores in the nation. Many went on to become leading researchers in quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and advanced mathematics. Mom's hand found mine in the dark. For the first time, I felt her grip convey pride rather than disappointment. These two individuals, the mysterious financial genius and the dedicated teacher, are one and the same. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our benefactor, Mr. Philip Chin. The applause was thunderous. As I walked to the podium, screens behind me lit up with real-time visualizations of my quantum algorithms at work. Global market flows, educational achievement patterns, social impact metrics, all dancing in perfect mathematical harmony. Thank you, I began, making eye contact with my family. I stand before you not as a wealthy donor but as a teacher. Because teaching isn't just about transferring knowledge. It's about recognizing patterns. Patterns in numbers, in markets, in human potential. The screens shifted to show my classroom. My students, engaged and excited, discovering the beauty of mathematics. While others saw teenagers struggling with algebra, I saw minds ready to grasp quantum mechanics. While Wall Street saw random market fluctuations, I saw predictable patterns that could be understood and harmonized. But most importantly, while some saw teaching as a humble profession, I saw it as the most powerful position from which to change the world. I gestured to the quantum center rising behind us. This facility isn't just about computing power. It's about recognizing patterns in the universe itself. And its first mission will be to revolutionize educational access globally. Because every mind contains infinite potential, we just need to help them see the patterns. The audience erupted in applause. Through the crowd, I spotted my advanced placement students, now quantum researchers and tech entrepreneurs, nodding in understanding. They had seen the patterns all along. Dad stood up, tears in his eyes. Son, I know, Dad, I smiled. Some patterns take time to recognize. Now who's ready to see what quantum computing can really do? The demonstration hall hummed with anticipation as holographic displays shimmered to life, filling the space with intricate mathematical patterns. My family sat in the front row, their expressions a mix of awe and lingering disbelief. What you're seeing, I explained, gesturing to the swirling equations, is the live interface of our quantum educational network. Every point of light represents a student somewhere in the world, learning in real time. The patterns, Lisa whispered, her legal mind quickly grasping the implications. They're learning patterns? Exactly. I manipulated the hologram, zooming in on a bright cluster. This is a classroom in rural India. Watch what happens when we apply the quantum-enhanced learning algorithm. The patterns shifted, adapted, and suddenly burst into new configurations. Gasps filled the room as the implications became clear. The system identifies each student's unique learning pattern, I continued, then adapts the curriculum in real time to match their optimal learning style. What took me years to develop as a classroom teacher can now be instantly replicated and personalized for millions. James leaned forward, his banker's instincts kicking in. The market potential is not the point, I cut him off gently. This isn't about profit. It's about potential. I brought up another display showing global education metrics. Traditional education systems miss countless brilliant minds because they don't fit standard teaching patterns. But with quantum-enhanced pattern recognition, the screens exploded with new light patterns, previously struggling students suddenly flourishing, hidden talents emerging, potential unlocking across continents. Every student who masters a concept becomes a new node in the quantum network, Dr. Martinez added, her voice filled with wonder. They become teachers themselves, creating an exponential growth in global knowledge sharing. Mom stood up, approaching one of the holograms. These patterns, they're beautiful. Like watching minds bloom, I smiled. The same joy I get in my classroom but on a global scale. The display shifted to show financial metrics. My brother's eyes widened as he recognized the patterns. James, the same algorithms I used to predict market movements. But instead of generating wealth, they're generating understanding. The quantum network learns and adapts with each student, creating an ever-evolving tapestry of human knowledge. But the cost. Dad began, ever the practical one. I touched a control, bringing up my personal financial dashboard. The numbers made even James gasp. My market algorithms don't just predict patterns, they optimize them. The wealth they've generated is self-sustaining. This isn't a one-time donation. It's an eternal engine of educational opportunity. The holographic display expanded to fill the entire hall, surrounding us with a galaxy of learning minds. Each point of light represented a student somewhere in the world, their unique patterns contributing to a vast, growing constellation of knowledge. In my classroom, I discovered something profound, I said, watching my family's faces as understanding dawned. Every mind contains infinite patterns waiting to be recognized. Traditional education sees only a fraction of this potential. But with quantum computing, You can see all the patterns, Lisa finished, finally understanding. And help each student see them too. I gestured to the glowing network. This center isn't just about quantum research. It's about quantum teaching. About recognizing that every mind is a universe of patterns, waiting to be understood. The displays shifted again, showing future projections. Global literacy rates climbing, scientific breakthroughs multiplying, innovation accelerating, all driven by minds that traditional education might have missed. Your brother, Mom said softly, the high school teacher, is exactly who I've always been, I completed her thought. Someone who sees patterns and helps others see them too. The quantum computing, the wealth, the global network, they're just tools to do that on a larger scale. James stood up, straightening his expensive suit. All these years we thought. You saw the patterns you expected to see, I nodded. Now who's ready to see what education really looks like when we can see all the patterns? The quantum displays pulsed with possibility, each light a mind ready to shine. In that moment my family finally understood. I hadn't chosen a lesser path. I'd seen a greater pattern all along. The quantum age of education begins now, I announced. And every mind gets to be part of the pattern,